and he pulls the gun out and loads it and then cocks it back. Hey guys, it's your girl Tiarra and welcome back to another Tiarra Tuesday. It's actually the first Tiarra Tuesday of 2021 and I'm super excited to come to you guys with some new content this year. I have such amazing stuff planned and I'm super excited just to come consistently every week. If you're new to my channel, my name's Tiarra. I drop content every Tuesday, sometimes Thursday. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up at the end and subscribe, okay? Now, let's get right into this video. As you can see by the title, it's a little scandalous. So I want to start off saying now, if you're a child or a family member that doesn't want to know too much about my personal life, don't keep watching. Or keep it playing in the background just so I can get the views. So this video is going to be a little juicy. If you like juicy stories, story times, keep watching. Yeah, let's get right into it. Now, I'm going to be doing my face while I tell this story. Hopefully I can do better than my last story time video and like really get through the story and my makeup at the same time. It's so hard for me to tell a story and do my makeup at the same time, but I'm working on it. I'm gonna start off with my brows. I'm using my e.l.f. Cosmetics brow pencil, the one I always use, in the color Deep Brown. So for this story time, I'm going to be telling you about the most terrifying dating experience I've ever encountered. Now I am single again, so this has me thinking about the last time I was single, and I definitely got myself into some certain situations with different people, which looking back at it now, I can laugh at it. It's very comical. It's also embarrassing because I'm a very smart person. I'm a smart girl. I like to think that I'm a smart person, but at this time in my life I was being a little more on the reckless side and less on the smart side. I was going through heartbreak. I had just gotten out of a relationship and I was so sad about it. But yeah, so I was just out of a relationship that really tore my heart apart, and I was just like, you know what, I'm single, I'm gonna do me. And like my goal, it was like summertime, and what summer was it? I think it was like 4 years ago, maybe. The summer after I turned 21, that's the summer it was. And I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna have men take me out on dates, get some free food, but I'm not gonna take anyone seriously. I was just in full savage mode, okay? Okay, so I'm sealing my brows with the e.l.f. Cosmetics 16-hour camo concealer in the color medium warm. Now, before I get further into the story, I just want to say, please do not judge me after hearing this story. Please do not think of me less. It was a lapse in judgment at the time. Okay, sorry, I just had to conceal my brows before I kept going because I can't talk and conceal my brows at the same time. But let's keep going. So it was the summer after I turned 21, which was 3 or 4 years ago, give or take. And I was single and just not handling a breakup really well. I was in a very toxic mindset. And I was just kind of saying it to a lot of things. So I was out, this is back when I lived in Philly, and at the time, like Sips, I don't know if anyone's from Philly, but there's this thing in the summertime, it's like a citywide happy hour at multiple places called Center City Sips. And so a lot of my friends would go out drinking. And so me and my friends were planning on going out that day and going to Sips, you know, having a great time, day drinking, and just, you know, being 21 and living it up. So also, please don't judge my nails right now. I just painted them and then they ended up chipping off last night and I just didn't feel like repainting them. So if you see my nails, please don't judge me. Anyways, so me and my friends were going out in the city and we decided to go to Sips. And when we got there, it was super packed. So then we ended up not going. We ended up like just walking around and going to the Liberty Deck, which is like the equivalent to the Empire State Building but in Philly, and they have like an observation deck. And before we went in, like we ran into these guys outside and I thought this guy looked super cute. He was in a suit, he looked like he made money. And I'm not looking for someone that's rich, I'm not like a gold digger, but I was like, oh, he looks like he could take me out on a nice date somewhere, take me out to get a nice dinner. I love food, so I entertained it and I gave him my number. And then he was like texting me talking about how he wants to take me out and like talking about a big game, how he wanted to take me to like some Italian restaurant. I was like, all right, I'll entertain this man and talk to him and see what he's about so I can get my free meal. Oh yeah, the palette that I'm using for my eyeshadow is the Bye Bye Birdie palette by ColourPop. It's super cute. It has all these cute like pink purpley shades. So we're gonna be playing in that today. So me and this guy were like talking for like 2 days. I'm just like, bro, when are you gonna take me out to get some food? Because that's the only reason I'm texting him. And he was like asking me what I was looking for. And I was like, honestly, I just got out of a relationship. I'm not looking for anything serious. And he was like, all right, bet. And that was late at night and I ended up falling asleep. And then he like called me in the morning. First of all, why are you calling me? We just met like 2 days ago. You should not be calling me. He calls me. He was like, what are you doing? And I was like, sleeping. He's like, well, what do you got going on today? I was like, work. And he was like, oh, can I like, all right, this is gonna be a little explicit, but he was basically, can I like come over and I don't know if I want to put this in there. Basically, he wanted to come over and mess around, and I was like, I don't know. I don't really just hook up with people that I just met. I'd rather get to know you first and go from there. And he was like, okay, I understand. I was like, yeah, and I have to get ready for work, so I really don't have time. So then I go to work, and it was slow at work, and my manager's like, does anybody want to go home and take a break and just come back a little later? And I was like, me? And I was like texting this guy like throughout my shift, and I was like, oh yeah, like my manager let me get out early. I'm going home for a little bit. And he was like, oh, like, can I stop by and like see you? And I was like, I don't know, like I'm not trying to do anything, just so you know. I don't just hook up with people I just met. Reiterating what I said before. He's like, no, I totally understand. I just want to come by and say hi and maybe give you a kiss or whatever. I could bring you lunch. I thought about it and I was like, well, I'm single. Let me live my best life. So like I called my best friend and I was like, what do you think I should do? And she's like, I mean, if you want to. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I texted him. I was like, okay, like you can stop by. And I told him I had to be back at work at a certain time, right? So I was getting myself ready, taking a shower. I mean, I wasn't gonna do anything, but if I decided I wanted to do something, I wanted to make sure I was prepared, okay? So he takes forever to come by, and it's getting really close to the time where I have to be back at work. So I was like, oh, if you can't make it, it's fine because I have to be back at work. And he was like, no, like I'll just come by and say hi. I really want to just give you a kiss and like come by. And I'm like, it made me feel like a bad okay? So I was like, all right, that's fine. So I'm waiting, and he finally comes to my house, and I thought he was just gonna stop by. I didn't think he was gonna come upstairs. And he's like, oh, are you gonna like invite me in? I'm like, sure. Now at the time, I was living in my apartment by myself. My new roommate hadn't moved in yet. He wasn't gonna move until school starts, so it was summertime, which is like mistake number one. Do not invite a man over your house if you don't know him that well. This is just foreshadowing to what's gonna happen in this story. So I let him upstairs, and like he was like, oh, can you like show me around your apartment? And my dumbass was like, sure. And I'm like showing him around. I brought him upstairs to my room, and then he just like, I'm gonna say attacked me. He didn't like attack me, but he just like grabbed me and like shoved his tongue down my throat and started like making out with me. And I was like, oh my god, this is gross. But I went with it because I'm stupid. Yeah, so then we're like making out, and it really wasn't that good, but I was just going along with it. And then he like wanted to mess around more, and I was just like, I don't have time, I have to go back to work. And he was like, please just like give me like 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, 5 minutes, but I'm not having sex with you. Okay, so yeah, so we were like, I was like, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. So we were doing things, but not sexual, like not sex, but stuff. We were doing stuff just to keep it PG as much as possible. We were doing stuff. Well, he was doing stuff to me, I was doing stuff to him, if you get what I mean. Anyways, so I'm like looking at the clock while this is happening, because I'm like, I have to get back to work. I need to be back at work on time, and I'm not gonna be late for this man who's not even doing that well at what he was doing. Then finally I was like, okay, like we have to like stop because I really have to go back to work. And he's like, okay. So remember when I said he was wearing a suit? well, he worked at like a suit place, but he like took off his blazer or whatever you want to call it before we started doing stuff. And then when he was going to put it back on, I didn't see what his back looked like. I didn't see behind him. And like as he was putting his blazer back on, he was like, oh, just so you know, I'm always carrying. And I was like, what? And he pulls out a gun, and I'm like, inside I'm like, what the f-? But I didn't want to show anything on my face because I didn't want him to kill me. And I was like, what the f- did I get myself into? And I tried to play it off, and I was like, oh yeah, like I'm used to them because my dad's a cop. Throwing that in there just so he knew not to do anything. And then you thought I would have learned my lesson then. No, I didn't learn my lesson then. You thought I would never see him again after that. No, because my dumbass wanted free food. I guess I would go to lengths for a nice dinner. I don't know why, but I didn't cut him off after that interaction. Okay, before we keep going, I'm gonna prime my face using the Pore Professional Hydrating Face Primer, because you know, your girl's pores love to say hello to people. Anyways, so I'm not gonna lie, I was freaked out about that interaction, but like I said, I guess I would go to lengths to get free food. I kept him in my starting 5 rotation. So at the time when I was single, I did have a starting 5 rotation of different people that I was talking to, because you know, that's how you do it. That's how you date. You gotta have options. I was hesitant. I will say I was hesitant on talking to him because he freaked me out so much from that interaction, but I was like, you know, that free meal though. So we were texting again. I'm trying to get to know him more just to see what type of person he is. And he was like, oh, I really want to take you out to breakfast. And I was like, okay, we can do that. Let's go to breakfast. And then literally the morning that we were supposed to go to breakfast, he was like, oh, actually, can I just come over and make you breakfast? Because he had something he had to do. I'm like, I really don't want him to come over again, but like, it's also kind of cute that he wants to make me breakfast because I'm a sucker. So I was like, you know what? Let me text somebody that he's coming over so they know where I am, and if they don't hear from me, they know who did it. Why would I even put myself through that? I don't know. So the morning of, he calls me and was like, oh, I have something I have to do you mind if I just cook you breakfast? So I'm like, oh, sure. And then literally right when he was arriving, he was like, oh, I didn't have time to go pick up food stuff. What do you have in your fridge? And I'm just like, this mother effer. He is really like trying to finesse right now, but it's not gonna work because I'm not giving it up because I don't know you like that. So I start making the breakfast. Also, I end up making the breakfast myself, and we're talking in the kitchen, and it's like normal conversation. I'm like, oh, maybe he's not crazy, maybe he's a normal person. We're like talking about TV shows we like to watch and stuff, and just a whole bunch of why did I say hubbabaloo? Who says that? I guess I do. Anyways, so after talking and make the breakfast, I didn't have like a kitchen table in my apartment, so like the only place I really ate was in my room. So I was like, let's go up to my room and like watch one of the shows we were just talking about, because he hadn't seen the most recent episode. And I was like, all right, cool. When I say I'm gonna go watch something, I'm gonna go watch something. That's not code for something's gonna happen. Like, I really mean, let's watch the episode. We eat and like we're watching the show, and then he starts trying to make moves on me, and I'm like, bro, like, nah, like I'm not trying to have sex with you. I'm just trying to watch the show. And he was begging me. I've never had a man like beg me and like make up stories to try to have sex with me. Like, that's crazy. He was like, oh, I just got out of the Navy or the Army, whatever he said, or the Marines. Like, I haven't been here in forever. I haven't had sex in forever. Like, he was trying every trick in the book, and I was like, no. And then he was like, well, can I like, you know, please me, if you get what I'm saying. And I'm like, fine, like, we can try that. And it was trash. It was so bad. Like, it was just awful. And like, I was looking at my watch, like, it was just so bad. And then finally I was like, all right, let's take a break. Like, and he was like, so you're really not gonna let me have sex with you? And I was like, no. What? And then he orders an Uber, like literally right after that. He pulls out his phone and orders an Uber, and I was like, fine, like I want you to be gone anyways, so. And then this is where like the story gets super crazy. This is when I was like, Tiarra, you were dumb. Okay, so backtracking to when he first got to my apartment that day, he had like this brown satchel with him, and mind you, I was the only one in my apartment at the time. He didn't have to worry about anyone taking his stuff, and I was like telling him, oh, you can leave this downstairs. He was like, no, I'd rather have it with me. And I thought that was weird. Like when we were going upstairs, he said that. And while he was waiting for his Uber to come, which felt like, in this moment, it felt like the Uber was taking an hour or at least 30 minutes. Like it was taking a long time to show up. So as he's waiting for his Uber, he like picks up the satchel, and I'm like watching him on the bed, wishing he would just go already, but like I was still trying to be nice at the same time, but I was like over it at this point. And then he like goes into the satchel and pulls out, and this all was super slow, like in slow motion, in the most creepiest way possible, to the point where like it was for a reason. So also, I just want to say my parents have never heard the story, and I'm sorry if you're watching this now. To my parents, I don't want to talk about it. To anyone that sees this in my family or that knows me, please do not try to come at me and yell at me about this, because this happened years ago. I learned my lesson, okay? Before I get into this last part of the story, which is the creepiest and scariest part, and the part that I realized I was a dumb. Anyways, so this man goes into his satchel, and as slow as possible, as slow as he could, pulls out one black rubber glove and then puts it back in the satchel, and then pulls out another leather glove, black leather glove, and then puts it back in the satchel. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then he pulls them both back out and slowly puts them on like a serial killer, okay? And I was like, oh my god, like what is going on? Please don't let this man pull out a freaking gun on me and kill me, because he pulled out a gun last time. He pulls out this black case, this small black case, and I was just like slowly watching him take the case out and then put it back in his bag, and then he takes the case back out. Oh, he put the gloves on after he took the case back out. And I'm like really paying attention now. Like now I'm like really freaking out. I'm like, what is going on? Because the way he was doing it was super slow. Like there's no reason to be pulling stuff out of your bag super slow if you know what you're going for. So yeah, I'm like watching him pull these things out of his bag, and then he slowly unzips the black case. And as he's like unslipping the black case, I'm like, please, please God, protect me. Don't let this be a gun. I'm like thinking to myself, Tiarra, you stupid little dumb little girl, what the hell did you get yourself into? So I'm watching him, and I kid you not, this man opens up the case and there's a gun in there. And then he takes it out, and I'm watching and slowly like moving away on the bed, getting closer to my door, just in case I gotta run or something. I'm like looking around for something I could use as a weapon to protect myself. And he pulls the gun out and loads it, and then cocks it back. And he does this all super slow. And like this is literally like a serial killer thing to do, for you to do that super slow. And all of a sudden he's like, so my Uber's here. And I'm like, okay, I'll walk you downstairs. And the minute he left my door, like he walked super slow too, and I was like not trying to seem scared, but I was scared. I was freaking out on the inside. Like I'm a very tough girl, but that's the closest I've ever come to like danger, I feel like, in my life. And I like walked him downstairs, like said goodbye, and then immediately locked my door, put the latch on it, like made sure it was super locked. And I was freaking out. I blocked his number, blocked him on social media. I don't even remember what his name was, but I learned my lesson that time. Like I should have probably learned my lesson the first time when he pulled the gun out, but the second time I was like, oh my gosh. Long story short, don't let men come over your house if you don't know them like that. If they pull out a gun in front of you, learn the first time. But yes, that is my crazy dating story, the most terrifying dating story I ever had. And the crazy thing about that, like a whole year later, I was walking in Philly and I saw him on the street and made eye contact, and I just tried to act like I didn't see him, and I ran home. I probably have other crazy ones, but that's like the most terrifying that I've had dating. But yeah, lessons learned from this story: don't invite strangers over your house, especially if you live alone. Make sure you know them first before you have them over. If they're not good the first time, don't try them again, and it's not really worth it for the food. I'm sorry to my family and to my parents. Please don't be mad at me. Please don't judge me. I know I was stupid. Anyways, if you like this story, give it a thumbs up. If you want to hear more juicy story time stories about my dating life and like the crazy things I've been through, because I got some stories, okay? I got some stories. But if you want to hear more, let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And thanks again for watching if you made it to this point. I will see you next week for another Tiarra Tuesday. Until then, spread love and joy to all your friends around you. Bye guys, see you later.